I wasn't supposed to be at the office that late. Just one last set of edits before the quarterly release. That's all. Everyone else on the floor had already left, the usual hum of conversation and chair wheels replaced by the distant drone of traffic. Our office is on the 23rd floor, just high enough that the city feels like a model set outside the windows. I remember looking up from the monitor because something had changed. The building's HVAC system hummed a little too loud. My phone screen lit up. It wasn't a call. It was that shrill, pulsing warning. An emergency alert. The kind no one had seen since that tornado system 2 summers ago. But this time it wasn't weather. Emergency alert. Citywide lockdown in effect. Shelter immediately. Do not exit buildings. Await instructions. At first, I thought it was a mistake. A test. Some intern at the Office of Emergency Management hitting the wrong button. But then the message repeated. And then the power flickered. For half a second the lights went out. Monitors flashed. The backup generators kicked in with a rumble I'd never heard before. The elevators stopped humming. My first instinct was to grab my phone. No bars. I stood, walked to the window. Still no movement below, but the traffic had thinned. A few cars were pulled over with hazard lights blinking. No sirens, no horns. Just a spreading quiet that didn't belong in downtown Chicago. My desk sat near the floor's emergency stairwell, so I tried the door. Unlocked. I called out, "Anyone here?" Nothing. The floor had emptied fast. Too fast. I heard movement on the floor below, feet, several of them. Not running, just pacing. I hesitated, thinking I should join them, see what was happening. But then something clanged metal on metal, like a pipe or crowbar dropped against the stairwell railings, and the sounds turned chaotic. Shuffling, gasping, bodies hitting the walls. I backed away from the door, locked it. The PA system kicked in overhead, garbled at first. Repeat. Stay inside. Fire doors sealed. Assistance in progress. And then, static. It never came back. That was the moment I realized it wasn't just a drill. It wasn't a mistake. Something had gone very, very wrong. I started checking rooms, conference spaces, break areas. Empty. Coffee still warm in a few mugs. The fridge door hung ajar, a sandwich left unwrapped on the counter, like people had left mid-bite. I tried calling out again. "Hello? Anyone here?" Then a voice answered, quiet, from a darkened corner of the hallway near the printers. "Don't shout, they hear you." It was a woman, mid-30s maybe, crouched behind a stack of filing cabinets someone had wedged across the hallway. She introduced herself as Gwen, from HR. I'd seen her at a few town halls but never spoken. Her hand was bleeding, wrapped in paper towels. "I tried to get out," she said, "but they locked the front lobby. Then, those things came in." She wouldn't say what she meant, just those things. I asked if she meant rioters, looters. She shook her head. We moved to one of the executive offices with tinted windows and a deadbolt. I checked the security cameras from the console on the desk. Several were offline, but the ground floor feed still worked. That's when I saw them. 4, maybe 5, figures wandering near the elevators. Clothes soaked, limbs stiff, heads jerking every few seconds like their necks were broken and trying to reset. One of them bent over a fallen body and didn't get up for a long time. When it finally stood, its face was wet, shiny. Its mouth didn't close. Gwen saw it too. She didn't say anything, just turned away. We barricaded the door, moved desks, bookshelves, anything with weight. The windows couldn't open, and the air in the room had started to feel thin. But it was safer than outside, and outside meant something worse than I understood yet. I watched the lobby feed until the camera glitched out. I remember one frame, just before the static took over. One of them looked straight at the camera. Not coincidentally, it saw us watching. Then Gwen whispered, "I think it started in the loop." She told me her brother worked in one of the subway tunnels near Monroe. He called her before the lockdown, said people had started clawing at each other in the underground platforms, like they'd gone feral. One man tore open his own fingers trying to pry the emergency gate. Others bit through gloves. And then the line went dead. She hadn't heard from him since. I checked my phone again. No signal. Battery almost gone. Gwen's was dead. No one else had come to our floor. I tried the landline, but all I got was a single repeated tone, like a line cut but not dead. We made a quick sweep of the kitchenette, grabbed water bottles, crackers, a box of instant coffee packets. Gwen kept flinching every time something groaned in the stairwell. "I think they're trying to get higher," she said. We listened. Sure enough, every few minutes a slow drag of movement came from somewhere below, like something testing doors. Listening back. That's when I noticed something on the glass of the executive window. Smudges. Not fingerprints, handprints. From the outside. We're 23 floors up, and something touched the glass. I turned off the lights, shut off the monitor. Gwen and I sat in silence. Nothing moved for a while. No more stairwell groans, no more camera feed. The office settled into a kind of unnatural peace, where every sound felt like an alarm. That's when the emergency alert came back. Not a text this time, a voice, from the speaker system built into the walls. "Emergency alert. This is not a drill. Citywide lockdown in effect. Remain indoors. Do not trust the infected. Military assistance is en route. Estimated arrival unknown. This message will repeat." But it didn't repeat. The speaker crackled once more and died. Something behind the voice had sounded distorted, not static, wet, like someone speaking through fluid. We used paper clips to rig the desk drawer locks, in case someone, or something, got in while we slept. Not that I expected sleep. Gwen finally passed out on the floor near the windows around 3 a.m., bundled in a conference room blanket. I sat near the door, holding a fire extinguisher. I wasn't sure I could swing hard enough to matter. There wasn't much to do but listen, not to the city, because the city wasn't there anymore, just the building creaking in the wind. Somewhere in the vents, something metal clinked once, then stopped. Maybe it was settling. Maybe it was something moving. I told myself either option was fine, as long as it didn't come through the door. My mind kept playing back the elevator footage, the way that one figure had bent over the body, feeding or sniffing or both, how its head moved, too quick, too rigid, like muscle memory had replaced thought, and the smudges on the outside glass, 23 stories up. Had something climbed? The stairwell handle moved again, this time slower, 2 small rotations, then stillness. I didn't wake Gwen. Instead, I crept to the glass wall of the hallway and leaned just enough to see the tiny square window in the stairwell door. It was too dark to make out shapes clearly, but light from a backup sign faintly illuminated a section of railing behind it. Something passed in front of it. No face, no skin, just the suggestion of motion. Then nothing. I returned to the office and jammed the fire extinguisher under the door handle, pushing until the metal squealed. Gwen stirred but didn't wake. At dawn, I cracked the blinds. Fog covered the skyline, heavy and colorless. The usual outlines, Willis Tower, the cranes over River North, blurred into grey like they'd been half erased. A few rooftops had movement, not people, just shapes. One of them stood on the roof across from us, on the 20th floor of the building that used to house a law firm. It wasn't pacing, it wasn't walking, just standing, arms slack at its sides, face turned our way. I closed the blinds. Gwen woke an hour later. She asked what time it was. I didn't know. My phone was dead. Hers wouldn't turn on. No clocks worked. Only the emergency hallway lights still buzzed faintly. But the floors were dim, and the generator didn't sound anymore. Maybe the building had gone dark overnight. Maybe the fuel had run out. We took turns using the bathroom down the hall, propping the door with a chair leg to keep it from closing fully. Gwen had wrapped her hand in a tie, padded with printer paper. She said the bleeding had stopped. I checked it when she wasn't looking. The wound looked shallow. No bite. Yet. We decided we needed to move. There were no windows that opened, no signal, no power, and no food left, except a stale granola bar and half a bottle of water. Gwen kept suggesting we head for the roof. She thought we might get signal up there, or maybe someone would see us, a chopper, a news drone, anything. I didn't want to tell her what I saw earlier, that the roof wasn't empty. We compromised. We'd sweep the rest of the floor, check for supplies or survivors, then decide. So we opened the door. The hallway was silent. The emergency lights flickered, cold blue along the baseboards. We passed empty cubicles, chairs still spinning from where people had last sat. A stack of HR files lay scattered across the carpet like someone had dropped them while running. One room smelled off. Not rotten, just wrong, like copper and plastic and mildew. We pushed the door open and found blood, sprayed across the glass whiteboard. No body, just a broken laptop and a streak across the carpet leading to the emergency stairwell. We didn't follow it. By the time we finished the sweep, we'd found 2 protein shakes in someone's desk, a flashlight with dying batteries, and a pair of scissors. Gwen held on to those like they meant something. Then we heard the noise again. From above this time, thumps, scraping. Someone or something moving on the 24th floor. We stood beneath the ceiling vent, listening. At first it sounded like furniture being dragged. Then something toppled. Then a voice, muffled, distant. It said, "Don't come up here." And then something slammed. Metal maybe, like a door being barricaded. Gwen stared at me. "They're alive." I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure. If they were alive, why didn't they ask for help? We took the north stairwell. I had a steel thermos in my hand, Gwen still clutching the scissors. The flashlight barely worked, dimming with every step. The door to 24 was slightly ajar. I nudged it open with the thermos. Darkness. No emergency lights on this floor. The hallway stank like old meat. We didn't step in, just stood in the stairwell listening. There was breathing, not ours. Slow, thick, like it came from somewhere deep in a lung. Then footsteps, slow and uneven. Then it charged. Something ran at the door, fast, slammed into it from inside the hallway. We bolted down the stairs, nearly tripping on Gwen's coat. We didn't stop until we were back on 23 with the door shut and locked, shoving furniture against it again. Whatever it was didn't follow, but it knew we were there. We decided against the roof. Instead, we checked the fire escape map in the janitor's closet. There was a lower maintenance balcony 2 floors beneath us. If we could rappel or climb down, maybe even lower ourselves on cables, we might get out onto the top of the parking structure next to the building. That became the plan. We grabbed everything with cord or rope, blinds, power cables, even twisted computer monitor wires, tied them together as best we could. Gwen worked fast, and I kept checking the hallway. At one point she asked, "Do you think this is everywhere?" I didn't answer right away, but when I did, I said, "I don't think anyone's coming." It was half a lie, half a truth, but it got her moving. By nightfall we had the line ready, 25 feet of makeshift rope anchored around a metal support beam near a shattered break room window. We smashed the glass with the thermos, cleared it with a broom. I went first. The drop wasn't far, but the rope held only barely. I scraped my shoulder on the edge going down. Gwen followed, shaking, eyes locked on mine the whole way. We landed on the rooftop of the parking garage, gravel beneath our feet, wind slicing in from the lake. And that's when we heard it again. The citywide alert. Not from our phones, from a speaker across the street, mounted on a streetlight. One of those old emergency broadcast boxes they never removed. "Emergency alert, citywide lockdown in effect. Infected active in zone 4, stay inside. Do not trust the infected, stay inside, stay inside." The sound echoed between buildings, distorted by wind and concrete. A flickering red light on the speaker pulsed in rhythm with the words like some kind of heartbeat. Zone 4. I didn't know what that meant exactly, but I didn't need a map to guess we were standing in it. Behind us, on the roof of the office tower we'd just escaped, came a sound that didn't belong up high. Footsteps, not the heavy kind, something light, fast, moving with erratic rhythm. I turned in time to see a shape dart across the far edge of the roofline. Human in outline, but too fast, too low to the ground. Gwen caught her breath, crouched next to the air conditioning unit, her eyes wide. We backed away slowly. I scanned the rooftop of the parking structure for an exit, one of those rusted stairwell hatches that led to the lower levels. Found it near the west corner, partly hidden behind a mossy generator. It wasn't locked. We pried it open, slipped through as quietly as we could. The stairwell smelled of antifreeze and cigarette butts. I let Gwen go first, keeping an eye behind. That's when I heard the scuff of feet on gravel above us. Slow, deliberate. Something had crossed over. We didn't wait to find out what. The stairs led us to the top parking deck. Abandoned cars lined up like museum pieces. Most had dust-coated windows. A few had broken windshields. One SUV still had a red child's shoe wedged beneath the front wheel. No sound except for a distant siren that never approached. We moved between vehicles, low and careful. I checked glove compartments as we passed. Found a phone charger, a lighter. Gwen found a cold pack and a crushed can of root beer. Not much else. Then she stopped near the exit ramp and pointed. Below us, at street level, stood a barricade. 4 Department of Transportation trucks parked bumper to bumper, flashing lights still rotating in slow, sputtering patterns. Behind them, a row of jersey barriers and a sign that read, Zone 4, Quarantine in effect, Stay in vehicle. There were no people manning the checkpoint, but something had painted the sign over in streaks of black and red, not words, just smears. Angled downward like someone had done it from inside a car. "Do we go down?" Gwen asked. I didn't answer right away, because there was something else. In the middle of the intersection beyond the barricade, 3 people stood in a triangle, all of them facing outward. Still, perfectly still, arms limp at their sides. At first, I thought they were statues, until one of them jerked. Its head snapped to the left like someone yanked it on a string. Another took a step forward, then froze again. We waited behind a pillar. 5 minutes passed. They didn't move again. Then the one in the center crouched and screamed. It wasn't a human scream. It was a signal, piercing and ragged like metal tearing against glass. It cut through the air, and every shadow in the street seemed to lean toward it. We ran, down the next ramp, past the second level, down again. The concrete echoed underfoot. I glanced back once. One of the things was on the rooftop now, standing at the edge of the parking structure, watching. We ducked into a maintenance room on the lowest level. Oil stains covered the floor. Shelves of supplies, old flares, a cracked fire axe, bottled water long expired. Gwen grabbed the axe. I took a steel tire iron from the wall mount. She didn't speak, just nodded once. Then we waited. The scream stopped, but footsteps followed. Not just one set, dozens, slapping the pavement outside like bare feet on wet tile. We killed the flashlight and pressed against the wall, breathing shallow through our sleeves. Something passed the door, paused, scraped fingernails along the metal. We didn't move. Another sound, gurgling, high in the throat, like someone drowning. Then silence again. Eventually, the steps receded. We didn't leave the room for an hour, maybe more. When we emerged, the air smelled sharp, acrid, smoke on the wind. The barricade was still intact. The 3 figures were gone. We followed the alley behind the garage, hugging the shadows. Trash bins overturned. A cat corpse lay bloated near the sewer drain, untouched by scavengers. On the far side of the block, we reached a small Korean restaurant I remembered from lunch breaks. Windows smashed, chairs overturned inside, a single handprint on the hostess station. We stepped in. The freezer still worked. Somehow the backup power was running on a separate line. We grabbed bottled water, protein drinks, and wrapped anything remotely edible into plastic bags. Rice cakes, frozen dumplings, canned kimchi. Gwen stopped suddenly. "Wait," she said. She pointed to the floor near the counter. Drag marks, long dark smears leading towards the kitchen. A flashlight blinked once from the hallway behind the prep room. Then a voice. "Don't move." A man, calm, clear. He stepped out slowly, a kitchen cleaver in one hand, military backpack over his shoulder. Bald, Asian, late 40s maybe. He didn't point the blade at us, just watched. "You're not sick?" he asked. "No," I said, "just hungry." He motioned us forward. "Let us pass." His name was Minjun. He said his wife used to run the place. She'd locked herself in the walk-in freezer the day it all started. Left him the key in a message. But when he opened it, it was empty. We didn't ask what he meant. He let us stay the night. The back door was triple locked, reinforced with steel racks. We all took turns on watch. Gwen and Minjun whispered in Korean now and then. I caught a few words. North Side, National Guard, Humboldt Park, rumors. Minjun had a radio, battery-powered. He tuned it every 20 minutes. Static. Static. Then, finally, something. A voice. Distant, warped. To survivors in Zones 3 and 4, if you can hear this. Primary extraction now focused on Union Station. Repeat. Union Station South Platform. Prepare for evac. The message looped. Once. Then the signal vanished. Gwen looked at me. Union Station was 20 blocks away. Through Zone 4. But it was the only lead we had. We left at first light. Minjun gave us each a small pack. Some food, 2 energy drinks, a roll of gauze. He offered his backup cleaver, but Gwen stuck with the axe. I kept the tire iron. Something about its weight in my hand felt honest. He didn't come with us. Said his wife might come back. That if she did, someone had to be here to open the door. He gave Gwen a short bow before we left. I hope the city forgets you, he said. It remembers too many. The streets of Zone 4 didn't look like a war zone. That's what made it worse. Everything was still. No fires, no screaming. Just cars parked crookedly, some with doors wide open. A bike leaned against a hydrant like its rider had only stepped inside. Empty sidewalks, half-lit storefronts, no birds. Our path took us through South Loop, past the Harold Washington Library, windows intact, but something dark pooled against the glass from the inside. Gwen didn't want to look. I did. One glance. The reading room chairs had been piled into a barricade. Something, or someone, had tried to make a last stand. It hadn't worked. At 9th and Warbash, we found our first real obstacle. A jackknifed bus blocked the intersection, half on the curb, front windows shattered inward. A few bodies slumped near the rear exit, grey-skinned, unmoving. Gwen stayed behind me while I climbed onto the driver's side to peek inside. The interior was dark, quiet, too quiet. Then a sharp metal screech. I ducked back. Gwen grabbed my arm. A figure bolted from the rear of the bus, out the shattered window, moving on all fours like a spider. It didn't even glance at us, just vanished into the alley behind a laundromat. We didn't follow. By noon, the sun was high enough to cast sharp shadows between buildings. The heat made everything feel more surreal. Bodies stiffened in the sun, puddles evaporating from cracked asphalt. We stayed low, moved fast. Each block closer to Union Station made the city feel less like home, more like a stage set that had lost its cast. At one point, Gwen stopped cold, pointed to a lamppost. Duct taped to it was a child's drawing, crayon. A stick figure family standing under a smiling sun. Below it, written in jagged red marker, "Stay in vehicle." We moved faster after that. We crossed State Street near a Walgreens. The doors had been forced open. Inside, the aisles looked ransacked, but the freezer cases still buzzed faintly. We went in for water. I found a few sealed bottles. Gwen grabbed gauze and cough syrup. As we turned to leave, we heard a soft voice from behind the checkout counter. "Please." We froze. A teenage boy, maybe 16, lay curled beneath the register, face pale, blood seeping from a wound on his leg. He looked at us like we were rescue, but Gwen noticed it before I did. The bite, right above the sock line, already discolored. He saw our hesitation. "Please," he said again, "don't leave me like this." I didn't move. Gwen did. She knelt beside him, whispered something I couldn't hear. He closed his eyes. She stood, took the cough syrup, left the bottle in his hand. We walked out in silence. By the time we reached Clark Street, we were a dozen blocks from Union Station. We paused under a broken awning, letting the shadow cool our backs. That's when we saw the flash. A flare, orange-red, rising in a slow arc over the rooftops to the west. It burned bright, then fell out of sight. Another survivor? We debated it. Gwen wanted to investigate. I wasn't sure, but then she said, "If someone's still signaling, they have a reason." So we followed. It led us to the upper parking deck of a shuttered hotel. The flare had landed between two cars, still smoldering. No one in sight. But then a voice called down from the rooftop above. "Hey, you're alive!" A face appeared, late 30s, scruffy, baseball cap pulled low. He waved us up through the emergency stairwell, lowered a rope ladder from the balcony rail. We climbed. There were 3 of them, Chris, Tanya, and Miguel. All office workers from the financial district. They'd been up there since day 2, scavenging supplies from lower floors, listening for signals. Tanya showed us a printed map. Someone had been marking sightings. "Zone 4 is a dead pocket," she said. "They move through it, but they don't stay. Something keeps them circulating." Miguel pointed at the river. "Best way to Union Station now is along the old freight line, underground, safe from patrols, covered." Chris looked at Gwen. "You'll never make it above ground, not with the screamers moving this fast." Screamers. That's what they called the ones we saw back at the barricade, the ones that sent out that shriek. Chris gave us the route. Tanya gave Gwen her last flashlight. Miguel gave me a flare gun. Then we left. We were only 6 blocks from the station now. The entrance to the freight tunnel was under an old security gate behind a pizza joint near Jackson. We pried it open just enough to slip in. A long concrete corridor stretched ahead, rails embedded in the floor, rusted and forgotten. We stepped inside. The gate dropped behind us with a soft clunk, pitch black. Gwen clicked on the flashlight. The beam barely reached the walls. Water dripped from overhead pipes. Rats fled at our steps. I held the tire iron tight. Somewhere ahead, the tunnel forked. Left toward Union Station, right toward the unknown. Chris had said left, clear as day. Marked it 3 times in red ink. But in this dark, in this cold space beneath the city, ink felt about as reliable as prayer. Gwen raised the flashlight. Its beam swung between tracks. Left looked like it dropped slightly, a gentle slope. Right leveled off and curved into darkness. Neither path had signs. No writing. Just concrete and shadow. The footsteps behind us stopped. Not close, but present. I nodded to Gwen. She turned left. We moved fast, not running but too quick for comfort. The flashlight dipped now and then, catching fragments of the past. Discarded signs, crushed soda cans, a rat skull brittle from rot. The air thickened. We passed what looked like an old breaker box, its door hanging open, wires split like veins. A rusted folding chair sat beside it, tipped over as if whoever used it had gotten up too fast or never came back. Then the flashlight blinked out, just once, came back. Gwen exhaled sharply, didn't stop walking. "Battery's dying," she whispered. We slowed. I reached for the flare gun, not to fire, just to hold. It felt like a last option, a scream in color. Then from ahead, movement, a sound like fabric sliding over tile, something brushing the tunnel wall. We froze. Gwen clicked the light upward, slow and steady. It caught on something pale. Briefly, then nothing. Like a shoulder slipping around a corner. or ahead. I stepped forward, carefully. The beam found it again. It stood just beyond the bend in the tunnel. A man, once, shirtless. Skin stretched tight, grey and glistening like wet clay. One arm longer than the other, joints swollen and wrong. His jaw hung slack, tongue split like a snake's. But what hit me first was the silence. He wasn't groaning, not snarling, just watching. Then he turned, walked away, limping, but purposeful. We didn't follow, kept left, kept quiet. Soon, the tunnel widened. A sign hung crooked above a rusted metal door. Rail access zone 2, clearance only. Half the letters scraped off. The door was ajar. Beyond it, a side corridor led toward what looked like an access stairwell. Concrete steps, yellow tape fluttering from the railing, and painted on the wall in black spray, South Platform. We'd made it, or close to it. We climbed slowly. Gwen's flashlight flickered again, this time not coming back. I took the flare gun in one hand and the tire iron in the other. Light bled in from somewhere above. At the top of the stairs we reached a catwalk above what used to be one of Union Station's subterranean service bays. And down there, in the center of the space, were people. Not many. 10, maybe 12. Gathered beneath a hanging lantern that pulsed like a heartbeat. Military crates stacked in a ring. A red smoke marker left beside one, and standing near it, a man in uniform, National Guard, real, alive. We made our way down, careful not to startle anyone. Someone saw us and raised a hand. Another called out, "We got 2 more!" A flood of relief threatened to take my knees. Gwen gripped my arm. Her mouth moved, but no words came out. Just a long exhale, like she'd been holding it for days. We reached the ring. The guard officer turned, older, hard-lined. His eyes were red-rimmed with fatigue, but focused. "You're late," he said, half joking. I looked around. Evac packs, radios, a folded map with names and numbers. A medtech offered Gwen water. Another handed me a bandage roll and gestured at a cut I hadn't realized I'd taken. Then the officer got serious. "You two come through Zone 4? We nodded. He rubbed his face. "Then you need to hear this." He pointed to the map. "Zone 4's collapsing. We lost contact with our forward teams. Whatever's spreading, it's mutating. We're pulling out in 20 minutes. This is the last sweep." Behind him, a steel loading door stood open. Beyond it, the tracks. A rail car rigged with floodlights and armor plating. A small engine already rumbling, ready to move. "Where to?" I asked. "Joliet's staging zone, if it still holds. That if landed hard. 20 minutes. We helped where we could, loading crates, patching up another survivor's arm, passing out ration bars." Gwen didn't speak much. She just kept scanning the shadows beyond the lights. When the time came, we boarded. 12 survivors, 3 guard, 1 hope. The doors slammed shut. The engine groaned to life. And slowly we pulled out of the belly of Union Station. I watched through a narrow slit in the armor. Chicago fell away behind us. No fire, no smoke. Just buildings, mute and glass-eyed. The lake shimmered in the distance like it didn't know what had happened. Then, somewhere far behind, a shriek cut through the night. Not one, a chorus. Layers of howling that didn't sound human anymore. It chased the rail car like a memory. Faint at first, distant enough to doubt. But the way everyone froze, every head turning toward the back of the train, that told me no one had imagined it. The guard officer, Harris, I'd learned, stepped past us and slid the viewing slit closed. "Keep your heads down," he said, low and direct. "Noise draws them, sometimes even machines." Gwen gripped the metal rail beside her seat, eyes locked on the corner of the cabin floor like she was watching for cracks. The rail car jolted suddenly, hit a bend. A few people swayed. No one spoke. There was this tension, like every breath belonged to someone else. I looked around the compartment. 12 survivors, each carrying the weight of some place they didn't want to talk about. An elderly woman clutched a broken cane. A delivery driver, still in his company shirt, stared at his wristwatch, not moving even though it had stopped ticking. A girl with dirt under her fingernails counted something in her head, lips moving without sound. Gwen leaned closer to me. "They're following," she said. "I don't think they're losing interest." I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. 10 miles out, we slowed. The track lights flickered once, then cut out entirely. The railcar jerked again. The floodlights stayed on, but the engine noise dulled. One of the soldiers checked the forward panel, called back. "Signal disruption, might be the overheads." Harris narrowed his eyes. "We're running diesel now, signal shouldn't drop." Then a knock, not from the door, from underneath. Everyone froze. A metallic clang, followed by another. Not random, deliberate, rhythmic, like someone, something, was climbing the undercarriage, hand by hand. Miguel, the guy we met on the hotel rooftop, stood and grabbed a fire axe from the wall mount. The train hit a slight curve, and something scraped loudly against the floor beneath us. The sound carried through the cabin like nails in a vent shaft. Then silence. We all waited. Minutes passed. The noise didn't return, but the tension didn't leave either. Harris opened the side hatch to let in cooler air. He looked over the rails. Beyond the train was open country now. Brush, dry soil, and telephone poles that led off into the dark like a procession of dead trees. Somewhere behind us, the city skyline was barely visible, a jagged black silhouette against a flickering orange glow. "We're halfway to the staging zone," he said. "If it's still operational, we resupply. If it's not..." He trailed off. A man in the corner asked, "What happens if we run into another cluster?" Harris shrugged. "Same thing that happens every time. We survive if we're lucky. We die if we're not." An hour out, the railcar slowed again. The engine groaned low, strained. Harris was back at the panel, muttering. "Fuel draw's too high," he said. "Generators burning fast. We might need to coast the last few miles." "Lights?" I asked. He shook his head. "We lose the lights, we lose visibility. These things don't wait for invitations." The girl with the dirt on her fingers finally spoke. "I saw one tear a man in half at a bus depot," she said flatly. "He didn't scream. I think his throat was already gone." No one responded. We hit the next stretch of track just before dawn. Gwen and I sat near the back, where a narrow viewing slit gave us a glimpse of the trail behind us. The sun was rising in the east, casting low, angled light across the gravel and steel. That's when we saw them. Far back. A cluster. No sprinting, no rage. Just a slow, steady mass. Dozens, maybe hundreds, moving along the rails. Not mindless. Tracking. One of them stopped, knelt beside the track, pressed its hand against the rail like it was listening. Then it stood and pointed, straight at the train. I felt my mouth go dry. Gwen leaned closer. "They know where we're going." We reached the outskirts of Joliet around 7:15 a.m. The staging zone was real. Fences, military tents, antennas scanning the air, vehicles parked in a tight perimeter, soldiers on guard. But something was off. No movement at the gate, no radio chatter. We slowed. The engine hissed, then stopped. Harris opened the side door and climbed down, rifle ready. 2 soldiers followed. We waited. 10 minutes passed. Then a gunshot. One sharp crack, then silence. Another minute, then footsteps. Fast, heavy. Harris burst back in. "We're not staying." "What happened?" Gwen asked. He didn't look at her, just grabbed the throttle. "Zone's compromised. We go south." The train jerked, pulled away fast. No evac, no rest. Miguel looked sick. The little girl with the counting lips had started again, faster. The old woman prayed under her breath. We drove on into farmland. No more lights. The fields glowed gold in the early light, beautiful in a way that didn't fit anything else. Like the world itself hadn't noticed it was ending. I sat beside Gwen. She was tracing something on her arm with her finger. Names, I think, or maybe places. I couldn't tell. Eventually she spoke. We won't get many more chances. For what? To make the right call. I nodded. Then the transmission returned, faint, warbled, but clear enough. Emergency alert. Citywide lockdown in effect. No contact from Central. Proceed to Rural Site 7. If you can hear this, you are not alone. The broadcast looped twice, then silence. Harris stared at the ceiling. Site 7's not on the map, he said. But I remember the drills. He looked at me. You ready to see how far this rabbit hole goes? We rolled on, southbound, toward the unknown. And behind us, just behind the horizon, came the sound again. The chorus. Closer this time. Not as a scream now, but something deeper, rhythmic, like breath being dragged through ruined lungs. So many voices overlapping, not in chaos, in sync. Miguel kept his eyes on the rear slit. They're matching our speed, he said, like they're pacing us. No one argued. Gwen checked her gear again, tightened the strap on the axe, said nothing, but I could feel the shift in her. Not panic, not yet, just the pressure of inevitability pressing against her spine. We were 2 hours from Site 7. According to Harris, it wasn't a military base, just a fallback location. Old Cold War bunker, retrofitted maybe, probably untouched for decades. He only knew because of a map he memorized as a young recruit during a readiness drill. He wasn't sure it would even open. At some point around mid-morning, the tracks dipped into a valley lined with windbreaks, rows of skeletal trees stripped bare by winter winds. That's when the engine began to rattle. Not loudly, not all at once, just a low knocking, like something loose inside the drive. Harris didn't say anything, but he checked it 3 times in 20 minutes. On the last check, he slammed the panel shut and cursed under his breath. It's going, he admitted. We'll get one more push before it stalls. How far? I asked. Maybe 10 miles. We were still 15 out. The rail car hit open land again. Old farmhouses passed in the distance, each one collapsed or rotting. Fences torn. Barns caved in like their bones had buckled. Then a new sound joined the hum of the failing engine. Helicopter rotors. Everyone stood. High above us, a Black Hawk veered low. Not military markings, no insignia, just matte black with a shattered rear window. We waved. It didn't slow, didn't change direction. And in the open side door, what I first thought was a soldier turned back toward us, until Gwen pointed. His face was wrong, blank, the helmet hung loose, and his arm swung unnaturally as he leaned out, teeth bared, not screaming, just grinning. Then the chopper tilted west and vanished. Even the skies aren't safe, Miguel whispered. The train stalled at 11:12 a.m. We were 5 miles out. The engine wheezed, sputtered, and went quiet. The lights held for a minute longer, flickered once, then died. Every breath after felt too loud. We disembarked slowly. Fields stretched on all sides, empty except for a radio tower in the far distance and a dirt path that cut toward the trees. No road, no signs. But Harris pointed toward the tower. There, bunkers beneath it. Site 7's under the old relay station. We started walking. The group split into pairs. Gwen and I stayed toward the rear, guarding the flanks. The old woman had to be helped. Miguel carried a pack on each shoulder. The girl with the counting lips now gripped a rusted machete she found on the railcar wall. She didn't look like she'd use it, but she didn't let go. Every 20 steps we turned around. We didn't see them, but the sound followed, still synchronized, still coming. We reached the tower by noon. Harris led us around the back, through a barbed wire gap. A locked hatch sat beneath a half-buried concrete slab, marked only by a small radiation symbol, the kind most people would ignore. He keyed in a 5-digit code on a rusted pad. Nothing. He tried again, then again. Still nothing. The rest of us spread out, searching. A metal shed nearby contained a rusted generator. Gwen opened it. Inside, 3 plastic jugs of diesel and a manual crank battery. We worked together. Took 20 minutes to power it, The keypad lit. The code worked. With a groan that seemed to shake the earth, the hatch unsealed. A stairwell descended into cold blackness. Lights on the walls flickered to life. Orange emergency bulbs that glowed like dying embers. We moved fast, one by one down the stairs, through reinforced doors, into the bunker. And just as I stepped through, I turned back. Across the field, at the edge of the tall grass, they emerged. At least 50, maybe more. Crawling, staggering, walking, not fast, but steady. The lead one stopped when they saw the hatch, looked up, then began moving faster. I slammed the door. Harris threw the latch. The steel sealed with a clunk that echoed through the stairwell. Inside, the air was stale, filtered, but unused for years. Dust blanketed the consoles. Old monitors blinked to life slowly. Maps on the walls showed zones long since renamed. A faded photograph of a man in uniform sat behind glass. But it worked. The comms still had power. Miguel found a transmitter with a range booster. Harris adjusted dials. Let's see who's left out there. We spent hours restoring systems. Gwen and I helped rotate air filters, distribute food rations. The girl with the machete, her name was Bree, stood guard at the stairwell, listening. That's when the radio crackled. Not from us, from outside. A voice, tired, grainy. If anyone can hear this, we are northbound on I-55, traveling with wounded, last known survivor group from Zone 5. Avoid Springfield. It's over. Static. Then silence. Miguel looked at me. I thought we were the last. I shook my head. No one's the last. Not yet. Later, Gwen sat with me in the control room. She didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she asked, "What do we do now?" I looked at the screens, at the blinking red dots showing movement around the tower above us. Dozens of them, waiting. They didn't storm the hatch, didn't claw or scream. They just stood, like they knew where we were and they could afford patience. The old rules didn't apply to them. Time belonged to the infected now. Gwen leaned forward, watching them. She didn't say anything at first, just traced their positions with her eyes, counting silently. After a while, she whispered, "It's not random." "What do you mean?" I asked. "They're forming a perimeter, like they're—" She stopped, thought again. "Corralling." I stared harder at the screen. The red marks weren't scattered. They were closing off paths, roads, flanks. Not trying to get in, trying to make sure nothing gets out. Miguel was in the corner checking the flare gun we hadn't used. He had 3 rounds left, all marked with tape. Bree sat nearby, sorting batteries by weight. The girl barely spoke, but she moved like someone who had done this before. Maybe not this exact apocalypse, but something close. And Harris? He stood by the door, still as the infected above, listening, always listening. We got 3 more transmissions that night, all fragmented, one from the west. Group at the refinery, not safe, repeating, inland if you can. One from an aircraft. Mid-air malfunction. We're going down over. And one that played 3 times before the signal died. Stay below ground. They adapt. That last one hit hard. We made a routine, or the closest thing to one. Every 6 hours we rotated watch, took notes on movement patterns from the radar. Gwen and I catalogued the supply inventory, MREs, water purification tablets, iodine strips, medical gauze. We had enough for 10 days, 12 if we rationed. Harris told us the fuel cell might hold longer, but no one trusted the meter. The infected didn't leave. Day 1, they wandered. Day 2, they circled. Day 3, they stopped wandering. Day 4, they stopped circling. Just stillness, surrounding us like a wall of silence. "They're studying," Gwen said. "Studying us?" I asked. She nodded, and somehow I believed her. Day 6, we lost one of the exterior cameras. It didn't go dark. It flickered, then froze. In the last clear frame, a face, inches from the lens. The eyes, milky but focused, the jaw slack, the skin cracked from wind, but unmistakably human once. Its hand pressed against the lens, and something behind it, something taller, loomed in the fog, not touching, just waiting. Then static. We shut down exterior feeds after that. Not because we lost them, because we couldn't look anymore. Some things, when they stare back, you don't recover. By the end of the week, the younger survivors started talking escape. Not serious plans, just what-ifs. What if we sprinted north through the field? What if we waited until a storm? What if we dug? The infected didn't need food, or rest, or answers. We did. And pressure builds under silence. That's when Harris pulled me aside. "I have one more destination," he said. "It's off-grid, a relay outpost east of Ottawa. If we can reach it, there's a chance we reconnect with a command node." "You think command's still out there?" He didn't answer that. Just handed me a map, folded neatly, marked in pencil. "You and Gwen, Bree, if she'll go. 3's better than 12. "What about the others?" "Someone has to hold Site 7. I stared at the map, at the pencil lines scrawled through terrain we hadn't seen in days. And I realized, hope doesn't live in certainty. It survives in maybe. We left at first light, crawled through the lower access vent, came up behind the tree line east of the tower. Gwen first, then Bree, then me. The infected didn't react. They stood, eyes forward, heads slowly turning toward the hatch we didn't use. We moved like ghosts. By the time we hit the second ridge, the bunker was out of sight. The wind carried something strange that morning, a sound I couldn't place. Not the screams, not the breath chorus. A voice, calm, female, broadcasting in English. "To all survivors, the new world is listening." That was all. No origin, no coordinates, just that. Gwen stopped in her tracks, looked at me. "Did you hear?" I nodded. And just like that, we weren't running anymore. We were going somewhere. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more unsettling creepypastas. Your support keeps my channel alive. Until next time, stay quiet, stay vigilant, and trust nothing, not even the silence.